Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about a framework that is so powerful it can literally turn your biggest dreams into an actual achievable reality. We're going to learn how to set goals the smart way. So, have you ever set a goal that just poof disappeared? We've all been there, right? It's January 1st. You say, this is the year. You're going to get in shape, learn a new skill, whatever it is. But then a month or two goes by, and all that motivation is just gone. The thing is, the problem usually isn't about willpower. It's about a lack of clarity. And this right here perfectly shows what I mean. On one hand, you have get better at sales. I mean, it sounds good, but what does that actually mean? It's a wish, right? It has no direction. But then you look at the other side, increase sales by 15% this fiscal year. Now that is a target. That's something you can build a real plan around, something you can actually measure. And that little shift makes all the difference. So, how do we make that jump from a vague idea to a powerful target? Well, the answer is in a super simple framework that the most successful businesses use all the time to get real results. It's called the SMART Goals Solution. At its core, the SMART framework is really just a checklist. It's a tool that gives your goals some structure, and our brains absolutely love structure. It takes that fuzzy, broad ambition and sharpens it into something real, something with a clear path forward. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What does SMART actually stand for? We're going to go through each letter of this acronym, and you'll see why every single piece is crucial for building a goal you actually want to chase. And here they are, the 5 golden rules. Your goal has to be specific because you need to know exactly what you're aiming for. It's got to be measurable so you can actually see your progress, which is a huge motivator. It needs to be achievable so you're not just setting yourself up for failure. Relevant, to make sure it actually matters to you or your business. And finally, time-bound. A goal without a deadline is just a dream. If you miss even one of these, the whole thing gets pretty shaky. All right, so that's the theory. Now let's see how this thing actually works in the real world. We'll kick things off with a couple of short-term business goals, the kind of stuff that keeps a company moving forward day in and day out. Let's start with an absolute classic, increasing sales. It's the lifeblood of pretty much any business. But, as we just saw, simply saying increase sales is not going to cut it. So let's run it through the SMART filter. And boom, look at that transformation. It's not just more sales. It's a specific 15% increase. It's measurable every single month, so the whole team knows exactly where they stand. It's achievable because there's a real plan behind it. A new marketing campaign, team training. It's obviously super relevant to the bottom line, and it's time-bound with that hard deadline. See? It's a complete plan. Okay. But what about goals that aren't just about money? The fuzzier stuff, like customer happiness or satisfaction. Those things can feel really hard to measure, but the SMART framework handles them just fine. Let's take a look. Now, what's really cool about this is how it makes satisfaction tangible. The goal becomes measurable by aiming to lift that average survey score from a 7 to an 8. All of a sudden, happier customers becomes a number you can actually track. It's made achievable with clear steps like better training, and it has a clear, time-bound deadline just a quarter away. But this framework isn't just for quick wins. It is incredibly powerful for those huge, multi-year goals that really define a company's future. So let's scale up and see how it works for the long-term vision. Here's a massive one for any business, expanding into a new country or a new region. This is the kind of goal that can take years of planning. And without a really solid framework, it could easily go off the rails. And this is where the framework just shines. It takes this giant, kind of scary project and breaks it into a manageable roadmap. Notice the measurable part? It's not just be there. It's set up an office and grab 5% of the market. And putting that 3-year clock on it, that creates a clear timeline and a sense of urgency for everybody. All right, for our last example, let's tackle something that feels really abstract: innovation. How do you set a goal to be more creative, to be more inventive? It seems almost impossible to measure, but with SMART, it's really not. And once again, the framework just cuts right through the fog. The goal to be an innovation leader is made measurable with a concrete target. Launch 3 successful new products. You can count that. It's made achievable by actually putting more money into R&D. This turns a really big ambition into a strategic 5-year mission. So we've seen how the SMART framework can guide you on the daily sprints and on the long-term marathons. Let's pull it all together for the main takeaway. A great strategy isn't about choosing one or the other. It's about making them work together.
Think of your short-term goals as the fuel for your car. They give you those quick wins, that momentum that keeps you going. But your long-term goals? Well, that's the map. That's your destination. It makes sure all that fuel is actually getting you somewhere important.
And hey, this isn't just for big businesses. This works for anything: studying for a test, learning guitar, launching a side hustle. So I want to leave you with this question. What is one important goal in your life? And how can you use these 5 rules to turn it from just a dream into a real plan, starting today?